Hello everyone. Oh my god, I swear I have set this stuff up 3 times. Give me just 1 second while I just change that again. Oh, that's not right either. No, it needs to be that. All right. Still not high enough. I don't know what's happening. Like every time I set this, I then do something and I have to change it again. I think what's happening is the lighting from outside is changing. And then it's affecting what's happening in here. Pretend that didn't happen. Hello. I love this green screen, but it's a lot of effort getting it sorted. Yeah, hi, how are you? It is Tuesday, the 5th of January, 2021. And I'm really tired. I have glasses on today. These are anti-blue light glasses that are supposed to help me. So I've been getting headaches, and there's multiple things that could be causing my headaches. I could just be getting headaches as part of my fibromyalgia. I could be getting headaches from the amount of time I look at a screen, which is what these are to try and help with. I could be getting headaches from codeine withdrawal because I'm taking less of my painkillers now. In fact, I'm not taking them at all, which is fun. It could be, so it could be a whole bunch of things. I could be coming down with something. I don't have a fever or anything. I've been checking. But I don't really know. So this is me trying to help with that. They're not anti-reflection, so if I do that, you're gonna see like my stream lights and stuff. So and you can see my screen in them. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully it's not too annoying. It's weird. I have had to use glasses before. I had a point where I was using glasses basically to correct a focusing issue, like a muscular one, rather than something being wrong with my vision. So when you focus your eyes, they effectively they cross over like that. Not that your eyes cross, but the lines of vision when you're focusing on something do this. And what was happening for me is that my eyes were doing this, and then one was like getting bored and wandering off. So I had glasses to counteract that for a bit. So I've worn them before. But I've got to get used to them again. So I keep fiddling with them, and I need to stop doing that. They are slightly big for me, so that's probably part of it. What I might do at some point is like get some felt and put some felt on, like a really thin strip of felt or something, just to hold it on my nose properly, because that's what's slipping more than anything. But yeah, so I had after I streamed yesterday, my hands were really hurting, and I'm glad I stopped when I did. I did some not hand stuff for a while, and then I did manage to get quite a lot of reading done. I was really struggling with a headache by that point as well, so it wasn't, I don't know, I feel like I only took so much in. But what I was working on yesterday was so I've mentioned I've got a to read folder of website bookmarks. And I was going through those, and I got like 5 or 6 of them done. Most of them one was a duplicate, it turned out. I'd put something in twice. And then a few were like journalistic articles that I was reading more for like general wider education rather than like specific research focus. One of them was an article that was specific research focus. It was really interesting. Just not really like producing anything new, but bringing together a bunch of things that are out there in a really nice and neat way. It was basically talking about the nature of, what's the term they used? I'm gonna make sure I get it right. If I can read my own handwriting. Therapeutic empathy. So obviously there's empathy, and there's lots of theories about like the definition of empathy and what empathy is and how it functions. Therapeutic empathy is different because it's not just your relationship with the emotions of another person, that's what characterizes empathy, regardless of what definition you're using, is some kind, like some exchange or reading of emotion. Therapeutic empathy adds then taking caring action onto it. It was talking about that and balancing the public and private nature of the medical encounter, but it did it all through a literary analysis of Howard's End, and using that as an example of showing the blurring of the line between personal and private, between private and public, rather. So that was very interesting. But yeah, not anything massively new, all things that I sort of had encountered before, but just really nicely packaged, I think. And yeah, so that was the like hard thing I read, as it were. And then I read a bunch of softer stuff, which is not to say it wasn't well researched, because it's really well researched journalism. But yeah, so that's what I did yesterday. I then was exhausted. I think what's going to happen this week is I'm going to be really, really tired for a lot of it. And I think that's not really surprising. I think I'm asking my mind and my body mind to get used to a lot of things. And that's going to take a little time. And that's why I'm really glad I've got these 2 weeks before term starts. I did get an email today, which is fantastic because it's another reaffirmation of the fact that I am starting a PhD. That's so a few months ago, I started the process of reapplying for my disabled students allowance. If you're not familiar with disabled students allowance, it's basically an extra kind of, it's technically funding, but for most people, it's not they give you money, it's that they give you the tools you need for your disability to help you access whatever it is you're studying. So, for example, one of the things I've been offered in the past is taxis to help me get to campus, be that the whole way or like part of the way. Obviously, it's not very relevant right now, so I didn't ask for that. But the thing that I get, that I have just been awarded again, which is a huge relief, is my wonderful, incredible mentor, who I get 30 hours a year with, which is huge because that's one a week. Now, obviously, I won't get her when it's holiday time. Even though I will continue researching outside of term time, one of the things that isn't often talked about is that PhD students don't actually follow term time fully. You will, once I start, that will be it. I will just be doing it until I'm finished. Obviously, I will take time off because I will choose to, or I will certainly try to. But it's not like being a taught student where when term time ends, that's it. And even when I was doing my taught masters, the way that it was set up was that so you'd have your modules, your classes all through term time, but then your assignments, and I didn't have exams, it was all assignments, so the bulk of my work was then due at the end of the holiday. So basically in term time I was doing my classes, and then in the holiday I was doing all of my research and my paper writing, which was kind of nice, but also it meant that you didn't have holidays really. And obviously this past year it was very disrupted, but certainly in the first term, which was normal, that was how it worked. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to have to be careful to make sure I'm already trying very hard to make sure I preserve weekends, and I'm going to try to like observe bank holidays and stuff, and that sort of thing, so that I can make sure that I'm taking the time that I need to. It might mean it takes me a year longer to do my PhD, but that's okay if it takes me 4 years rather than 3. And it's not like I can tell now anyway how it's gonna go. But yeah, so this week and next week, I'm happy to just show up and try. That's really all I'm asking of myself in this next couple of weeks, is just get used to it, just get my body used to it. I'm also trying several things at the same time to help with my pain levels. So I'm probably in more pain than I can tell today. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone who has chronic pain. Probably it does. Maybe not to people in general. I reach a point where I can't tell that I'm constantly in pain, but I am, and it's still affecting me. I'm just not like constantly focused on it and aware. And I think I'm in quite a lot of pain today, but I'm just not, it's not like the focus of my attention. But it's still having just as much of an effect. I've just said the same thing 3 times over. I know what I mean. It's all right. It's not like I'm attempting to explain things for a living. But yes, I'm, and that's partly because I've been doing yoga every day. This will be the 4th day. I haven't done it yet today because when I woke up, I was already in pain and exhausted, and my entire body aches. Anyone who's ever had a really bad flu, or even just a really bad cold, anything like that, where you're just so sick that your entire body is aching, that's what I get a lot of the time. And that's one of the things that's really tiring. And yeah, it's super annoying because I want to keep this habit and I want to try, but I also need to listen to my body whilst I'm doing it. And I know at some point I'm going to miss a day, and that's going to be really hard, because I'm going to have to work with myself to not feel like I've just failed entirely. But my plan today was, I thought about it. I thought about doing it anyway, and I've decided what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do it after streaming, between streaming and then my next study block. I also may not use that second study block. So normally, so I have therapy every other Tuesday on a Tuesday afternoon. My therapist is actually still on holiday, so I don't have a session today. And I'd gone in and put, oh, you know, I'll just do some reading instead. But actually, it probably makes more sense to do what I will actually be doing, and just to use that time maybe like doing some more work on the pain education course I've got to do, and that sort of thing. That probably makes more sense. So I can combine that with doing yoga and doing it slowly and seeing how I go. I need to adjust my posture now because I've realised it's very bad. I did badly at adjusting my chair there. Yeah, my shoulder's nasty. So I don't know how long I'm going to manage today. I'm here and we're trying. And we are going to head back to notes. And this, I actually want this bit. And I had done this one. Where did I get up to? Had I done that one? Yes. So I was at this next book. Hi DasLP. Checking out some lower viewed streams. I do that as well. I hop around and look at the people who've only got like 1 or 2 people and see what they're like. The plan for the stream is that I'm gonna try and get more of my notes typed up from my master's degree. I'm starting a PhD in a couple of weeks, and I'm basically streaming the process of doing a PhD. And what I'm trying to do is, so I take all of my notes handwritten and I'm getting them all typed up, so I then have a searchable database effectively of all of my notes. for when I'm looking things up in the future further into my research, because writing them by hand really helps me, and then typing them up then means I can search it. So my master's was in creative writing, although I did half of my courses on the medical humanities, which is what my PhD is in. So I've got a couple of commands that you can use, and the one that I then have to use to explain my PhD is what the medical humanities is. So there you go. That'll give you a summary of what I am doing. And what I'm typing up right now is one of the modules I took as part of my master's degree, which was an introduction to medical humanities, which is one of the reasons that it's still useful for me for my further research to type up my previous courses, because it's still all relevant. Also, I have been working on reducing the typing noise. I have a mechanical keyboard and it's super loud, but I'm gonna have to fiddle with this more. And it's one of those things where I got it to the point that if I'm talking at the same time, you can hear me, and if I'm not, hear me typing, and if I'm not talking, you probably can't hear me typing most of the time, but I will continue to work on it. I reached the point where I was like, I can sit here fiddling with this for another 20 minutes, or I can just go with it. And also I need again to open my reading list, so I've got all the information handy. And so this program I'm using, if you've not all seen this before, is called Zotero. What am I looking at? Medicine, Health and the Arts. This one. And it's actually a referencing program, which is why it has all of this information in here. Because the reason I put all of this in now is that then in the future, if I want to reference this in a paper or in my PhD itself, I can just export all of this information. It means that when I come to do my bibliography for my PhD, for example, this is my PhD folder, I've got everything I've read. So this is all the stuff that I've read whilst writing my proposals and things like that. And what I can do is I can basically export that entire thing as a bibliography, as long as I've got all of the correct information in here. And I need to go through and sort this out because some of this isn't stuff relevant to my PhD, and I've just been throwing it in here. And some of it I need to go through and fill out the information fully. But when I've got, for example, with this one, I've got like a full listing for it. When I export that, it'll all come out. You can export it in whatever citation style your university uses. For me, I'm actually allowed to use whatever I want pretty much, as long as I am consistent. Harvard referencing is what I'm used to because it's what I used in my bachelor's degree, and it's what I've continued to use through my master's. But it can do whatever is necessary. So that's really nice. What I then do is, if I just get this info in here, then you'll see. So this is 2014, and it is there. And you can put, this is where I tend to stop with the information, because this is that's all of the information I need to pull out a reference. I don't need to put any more than that in. But you can like put ISBNs in. When I was working on my dissertation, and so this is all the stuff I didn't end up reading. But for example, I would in the notes put where the book was, especially in lockdown. I can't just go to a library and get things. So there would be things like, let's see if I can find one. Here we go. So this one, I put how many pages I could access on Google Books. Google Books has previews of books if you've not looked at it before. Sometimes that is enough to tell you whether you need the book or not, which is a really good way to do it, because then, so I can request things from the university library. I can write to them and say, look, I need this chapter from this book. And then they can digitize it for me. In this instance, this one wasn't in the uni library. I am also buying some books myself. I've got another delivery coming today. I'm really excited. My in-laws got me a lot of books for Christmas, and I've got this massive stack of them. I'm really excited to get through. I've never heard someone say ISBN as a word instead of ISBN. I think I've heard both. It's just that ISBN is quicker to say. Does university not give free access to ebooks? I can get most of the Springer publisher as PDF for free. Yeah, so absolutely. A lot of things are on ebook, and I think probably, yeah, like so the Oxford, all of the Oxford handbooks were made accessible to students when the lockdown started. Some of these, I know there's some where the library has got ebooks, and those I do use those as well. I actually find it quite hard to read from ebooks sometimes. Paper seems to work better from me. I don't know why. It's just I do have a Kindle Paperwhite, so I might at some point with things I have to read in PDF try like putting them on there and seeing if that helps. The problem with my Kindle is that it's quite old, and so it's very heavy, which means it's hard for me to hold it up because I have a chronic pain condition called fibromyalgia, and I get a lot of pain in my hands, and holding up heavy things for a long period of time can be hard. But I can also put it on something on my desk. That's also possible. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Now, the other thing I can then do is I put all of my notes on here as well. You can do it however you want. I know people who use Evernote for their notes, or Notion, or things like that. I quite like having it all here in Zotero. It's just easy for me to find. I can search everything. I can search within a particular folder, for example, which is nice. The only thing is that it takes the first line as the name of your note. And I will again give the disclaimer that I'm not very good at taking notes. Also, I took these notes over a year ago. Actually, these notes are better than some of the notes I take now. I was talking about this yesterday. I want to get better at taking notes. It's something that I'm going to look up in the next couple of weeks. And a lot of what I was doing in these notes, so this is the very first intro week to the Intro to Medical Humanities, so it was really just teaching us what the medical humanities were. So a lot of the notes that I've taken, I can show you actually in this one. So I've got this here. This is a big long list of just all of the chapter titles or chapter topics, so that I can go back and read things. And I actually discovered that there's a section on illness narratives that I now need to go back and read. And that helps me, especially with like, if there isn't a PDF, if there isn't an ebook version of that book, then I can request it that way. I think the library are working on like making as many things digital as possible so that they don't have to deal with Lots of requests. At my uni, undergrads can't normally request things. Taught postgrads can request a limited amount, and then research postgrads can broadly get whatever they need, but within reason. Obviously, if I sent in 200 requests, they'd be like, hey, what's going on here? And very understandably. Oh, I've actually got quite a few notes on oh no, that's a different one. Yeah. It is really picking up me typing, isn't it? Let me see if I can move that there. In fact, if I'm sorry, because I know moving my microphone around makes noise as well. Move it a bit further away, then it does do this thing with the line here, which I've been trying to avoid. But I can't. I thought about changing my microphone to the other side, but I'd have trouble. I'm like in a corner of the room, basically. It's not a big room either, and I've got nowhere really to put it there. I just read through your bio. If I may ask, what kind of disability do you have? Yeah, you can absolutely ask. I wouldn't put it in there if I didn't want to be asked about it. So I have mental illness problems, which are mostly around anxiety and depression and post-trauma. And then this past year, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition, and I've actually had chronic pain for about 10 years. That's how long it's taken to work out what's wrong. And basically that means that I get tired very easily. I'm in constant pain that worsens if I do certain things like move. So things like typing, if I do that for too long, then my hands will really start hurting. At times my pain has been to the point that I haven't been able to use my hands at all, and that sort of thing. And I'm just now starting to get treatment and work on treatment myself. It's an incurable condition, but it's something that can be managed. Unfortunately for me, it can be managed by doing things that cause you pain until they don't, which is a really blunt way to summarize it. But basically, for example, the way to stop walking from causing me pain, which it does right now, is to slowly increase the amount that my body is able to cope with. A year ago, when I was commuting into campus, I was walking 20,000 steps a day whilst in crippling pain. The two may be related. There might be a reason that the pain was bad. But yeah, it's a very slow process of relearning what my body's limits are. Got the Blizzard launcher open, sorry, and the Blizzard launcher doesn't seem to give a crap about if you mute notifications. Yeah, and it's going to be a long process of working out what I can do, what I can't do, what I can push myself to be able to do in the future, that sort of thing. So kind of like trying to teach the body that it shouldn't hurt or so the problem with fibromyalgia is what happens. So it's very often caused by early life trauma. Basically, my brain misinterprets pain. So something that normally a body would acknowledge as mildly painful, if you stub your toe, for example, that's a really bad example because that can really hurt. You bump your arm against a corner of a desk, that sort of thing. For most people, that would be, oh, that hurt, and you'd carry on. Whereas for me, that could cause me horrendous pain for the rest of the day. In the same way that everyone's body gets tired, everyone's body aches when they've done stuff. But for me, that's massively exacerbated. And it's different in every person with fibromyalgia. the limits of each person with fibromyalgia are different. So it's about learning what my body's limits are right now, and then learning how I can expand them and whether I can expand them or not, because it's possible that I might not be able to do the things I used to do. So it's not quite exposure therapy. There is a very controversial type of therapy called graded exercise therapy. It's really controversial in its application to ME or chronic fatigue, because it's... So graded exercise therapy is effectively what I've just described, of a slow increase of activity. But for people with chronic fatigue, that can be really bad. And there's a lot, and it's used a lot by the NHS at the moment for chronic fatigue, which is why it's very controversial, that it's very popularised, but also has been shown to be really detrimental. Interestingly, it's one of the things my consultant recommended for me, and I can see for me that it's worth trying, but it may also not work. And there's a lot of things that I can hopefully do to lessen my pain. I'm learning a lot about other things I can do to manage my pain. So for example, when I'm sitting at my desk for a long time, I make sure I get up and move periodically, because ironically, moving is bad, but if I stay still for too long, that's also bad, because I think like my body all seizes up. But yeah, to be honest, it's been, so I've had pain for so long that at this point it's just a relief to know what it is, because I only got my diagnosis in August last year, but I've had this pain for about 13 years, because it started sort of when I was around 20, maybe a little bit earlier than that even, so maybe more like 14 or 15 years, and it's just really nice to know what it is. And yeah, it's gonna take a while to work out what I can do and can't do, and it's gonna hurt a lot in the meantime, but it feels like I'm able to go, I'm going in the right direction with it now, even if I'm meandering a bit on the way there. That makes sense. Let's get this note done. That's completely the wrong year. I don't understand a lot of my notes. I think it would probably, that's it for that one. I think it would probably make more sense if I was looking at the chapter as well. So this is a new, what is this one? I think this is a journal article. Got an excellent title. Is it within that book? Might be, because I'm not seeing it. So what I'm looking at is the reading list on the reading list website from my module, because it's got the, I was to look at chapters 2 and 3, and that was chapter 2, wasn't it? I think this is chapter 3, and I've just badly labelled it. I'm just opening the PDF so that I can see it. Yeah, it's just chapter 3. And then what I've helpfully done, just to make it easier for myself, is I'll just describe it because you won't be able to see it. I've picked a colour that I've written the title of the books in, and then I've picked a colour that I've written the title of the chapters in, and I've used the wrong colour. So I looked at this and went, oh, this is purple. This must be a new... But it's not. You can really hear my typing. Oh, just 1 second. All right. Interestingly, my hands are already hurting, and I've not really done much typing at all. I've been talking a lot. Which is actually why streaming helps. Streaming makes me take way more breaks. If I was doing this off stream, I would just be tunneling it, and I wouldn't be noticing how much pain I'm in. I don't know what my handwriting says. US increasingly offering... It looks like I've written Pint Medical Humanities. Print? Art? I'm just going to ignore that word entirely. I've written page 35, but I'm not sure if that's under the above one. I'm not sure whether it refers to the one before or after, so I'm just going to put it like I've written it, and then if I need to reference it, I'll find it. No tread deeply. I think that's his power. Oh, so earlier I was talking about definitions of empathy. So I need to remind myself what they each are. Hold on. Because this note I've just made. So the note I've just made is in House MD, as in the TV show, His epiphanies often come from patient narrative. He's not empathetic, but knows how to ask questions to draw that narrative out. So one of the theories of empathy, so there's three main theories. There's theory, and yes, that's really the name. Theory, which is about inferring another person's emotions or understanding them. Simulation theory, which is about you simulating the emotions within yourself. And then directly experiencing, which is you sharing the emotion rather than like reflecting it in like simulation theory does, or mocking it up like simulation theory. So if you go by theory, House is empathetic. It's only if you go by simulation theory or like the shared experience that he isn't. So that's really interesting. The idea that if you're taking that, what we would view as a doctor who's failing at, hang on, I've lost the term again. It's a really obvious term as well, therapeutic empathy. Yeah, so we'd look at House and say that he's terrible at therapeutic empathy because he's an arsehole. But actually, if you're going by theory, he's empathetic because he's drawing out the narrative of his patient's experience. So he's inferring what their experience is from interacting with them, which he often, because he's meant to be like a kind of Sherlock, he often does through reading body language and things like that are generally attributed to that side of empathy. And then he uses that knowledge in order to perform acts of care, admittedly not in what we would regularly interpret as a caring way, but it does result in the patient receiving care and treatment. So from that point of view, House is an empath, but you would never call him that. So that's really interesting in terms of like highlighting the different definitions of empathy and how they interact, and also how we use them. And there's a really good quote from Jennifer Robinson. I got that in here. It's something about the application of folk psychology. Yeah, we reflect by applying folk psychology to situations, which is constructed by cultural norms. So I, with my collection of cultural norms, look at House and consider him to not be empathetic, but then I can, logically describe based on these definitions of empathy the way that he is, whereas someone who is from a different culture might look at him and think he's incredibly caring. It's really interesting. Oh, no, I've still got some more on this one. I'm just trying to read my own handwriting again. Developing? So it doesn't help that when I'm taking notes, I generally like write in a partial shorthand. So for example, I've written the word developing and I've written devel. I've just written the first half of the word. And I'm relying on context now to extrapolate whether that's developed, developing, developer, that sort of thing. Okay, so this next one I know is a journal article, not a presentation. I want to move the item to the bin. I hate programs that when you get rid of them, they don't actually quit. And this one I need again. Here we go. And this is in volume 37, issue 2, pages 79 to 84. And the date is, and that is all the information that I need for a journal article. So that's plenty. I think part of what's happening is I think my desk is too high. So I have clip-on lights, and one of my lights clips next to the handle of my desk, which means that, oh, that's better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Like, in order to turn it, I have to move the light. Should be effects. Oh, no, I missed one. Okay, that's that one done. We now have a book. Oh no, I'm doing very badly today. And this book is the Health Humanities Reader. Oh god. That is a lot of authors. This is going to take a while. I didn't realise Frank had an audience. And then this is publisher and date. No, oh, no. Oh, did I do notes on specific chapters? I did. I'm just going to do intro notes. Now, this is one of those ones where, oh wow. I'm going to pause for a second and talk. This is one of the ones I was talking about yesterday where I've written that big long list of topics and titles. Oh, there's a section on narratives of mental illness in this one. I can look at that. Yeah, I just got like a really sharp pain up here, like effectively carpal tunnel pain, which is not surprising. To be fair, I have typed like volume-wise a reasonable amount. I'm doing it in short bursts, but I'm also now gonna, having just taken my desk down, I'm gonna put it up again. What I might do is just leave that light there. Try not to hit my green screen when I reverse. It's a very small room. I love this room. I'm very glad that I decorated it at the start of the pandemic. It's been wonderful to have my own little office, but it is very small. Or my desk is very big, or both. It's both. I kind of wish, so I've got in one corner over here there's a cupboard, which we don't need access to constantly, but we need access to it enough. Like everyone's got a box of cables. Our box of cables is in there, so we need access to it relatively often, but not constantly. But I've got a bookcase in front of the window and it completely conceals the window, and I'm still sort of like working on, I'm limited in where I can put stuff, but I'm still working on the best way to move things around. I'm sort of wondering if I so I've got the filing cabinet to the left of my desk, and I'm wondering if I put the bookcase there instead, and then the filing cabinet in front of the cupboard, so the cupboard would still be accessible. It's not as easily. I think that would annoy me whenever I had to go in the cupboard, but as I say, I don't have to go in the cupboard that often. I don't know. We'll see. Well, this shoulder's bad. This is what I mean about not realizing. So I was in one of my therapy sessions. My therapist noticed I was getting anxious whilst talking, and that what I was doing was just talking even faster in order to, and I do that on here as well, in order to not focus on it. And she had me stop and focus on what I was feeling. And I went, oh God, my shoulder really hurts. And I just hadn't noticed. And it had been like that, I think, for most of that day. And that's one of, that's the sort of thing that I'm trying to get better at noticing. But yeah, so I think the plan of doing this, and then taking my break, doing the yoga then, because I want to try it. I want to make sure I try it, even if I try and have to stop partway through. Or what I've been doing a lot is in the sessions, if there's a part that I can't do, so for example, I can't plank, but I can just about do half plank, bearing in mind that just being on all fours is very painful for me and hard, because I get like muscle weakness basically, because I'm not using them as much as I could be. So then it all doesn't work as well. Yeah, I'm either doing an alternative version or I'm just going back into child's pose and just flopping. And just sitting there for a bit. And to be honest, even just doing that with breathing is helpful, because it's like, even if what I get out of yoga is the meditation rather than the movement, then it's still helpful. The thing I want to do to get my exercise up is walking, because I want to get to the point where I, in the distant future, will be able to go back to campus. It's been a very strange journey of so for years my anxiety was so bad I had trouble leaving the house. I worked really hard and I got myself to the point where I did a lot of healing, got myself to the point where I could leave the house. And I've had like a year or two where I have to use like particular aids. I've talked before about having noise cancelling headphones that I have to use outside if I'm on my own. So I have things like that. I don't take public transport at rush hour, that sort of thing. But I can do it, and I'd gotten myself to the point where I could do it and I could go places on my own. And I was starting to do that, and I was doing that with the university, and then the pandemic happened. And now I can't go anywhere. And I haven't been able to for the whole time. Then my pain has gotten to the point where I can't walk for long periods of time. And by long periods of time, I mean more than 5 minutes. And it's hard to face that this thing that I worked really hard to be able to do is a different kind of impossible now. I've seen a lot of sort of commentary on mental health Twitter and disability Twitter, that people are being effectively re-traumatized by being in lockdown, and especially disabled people for whom lockdown hasn't ended. I'm not immunocompromised, but because of the nature of my illness, it makes my immune system not as good. I will always get colds if they're around, that sort of thing. So I'm being very careful. And it is difficult, and I do sort of, the times where I have been out now, it's just as bad as it was before. I'm so anxious. I basically have a panic attack every time I go out now. And it just feels like I've regressed completely. That's it sucks. I'm gonna write this note now. I don't really have I often try to spin things into Positive. I can't really spin that one into a positive. It's more just an observation. We're done. I think I shift tabbed again. What the fuck does that say? Competing diagnoses in I want to know what this is. I'm going to look the book up. There are digital version. No, there's not a digital version. Is there oh, there's a preview of the book. Has it got the right? Competing diagnoses and the rhetoric of Morgellons. I wouldn't have guessed that. No, it's in Google Books, so it won't let me copy it. I was just going to copy all the chapter titles. Is there somewhere else where I can copy that, though? No. Maybe if I put the word chapter. Yeah, this is the chapter list, but can I? I've got the PDF. Can I copy it now? Yes, I can. Okay. Now that looks ridiculous. But it means if I'm searching, I will be able to search for it. And I don't have to type all of that up, which I would have had to do. What I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna put my notes on the intro separately. I think that makes sense. There was not a lot of notes. Where's this one? I think this is just the intro again. Oh, we've almost finished week 1. Only. There's what, 14 weeks in each term, and I've got 2 terms of notes. And that's before you include all of my reading group notes as well. Although I don't know whether I'm likely to type those up. It depends. I'll have a look through them when we get to them. If they're going to be useful, I'll type them up, but I think a lot of them might not be. And also I often don't take notes in my reading groups. Often my reading group notes will be like references of things I want to go and look up rather than notes on having read something. Obviously my notes on the thing we read for reading group will be relevant. But they were mostly in my PhD notebook, which the first one of which we've already finished. So what we've learned though is that it takes a while to type my reading notes up. And I can't expect to do an entire week's worth of notes in one go. That's gonna, oh, that makes my, that sort of undermines my whole plan to have Friday be my day where I type up the notes from the previous week. Although it probably won't be as bad in the long run because I won't have been doing it every day. I think it will still work. Just something to think about, isn't it? That it might not be sustainable in the long run. Or it might take me both blocks on Friday. Friday might just become like an entirely admin day where I do that, or I expect it to take up more of my time. So we'll see. So this quote says, how might we account for non-human objects and presences? But I've written objects in shorthand, so I've written OBJS. And for some reason, I looked at it and my brain read it as, how might we account for non-human dogs? How might we account for non-human dogs? It's a good question. How am I gonna... I'm gonna do this in a weird way because what I've done is drawn like an arrow coming from all of these. I mean, so the thing is, I'm also keeping my notebooks. So if I were to search through this in the future and was to look at this and be like, if I needed something about entanglement, for example, to go, I don't quite understand this, I can then look it up and use that. I'm gonna become a fluffy pile of human now. I'm a little bit cold. This jumper is amazing. It's properly huge. It also do this. look really, really silly. I can't leave it like that. But it does have it is amazing. I've also managed to fog my glasses up. I've also done that thing any time that I put glasses on, I then get used to seeing myself with glasses on, and it's really weird when I then take them off. Because it's like my face is missing something already, and I've had them on for what, 3 hours? It says page 5, but for a moment I thought it said PS. But that's not the end. I'm tired. Whoop. I tried reading Foucault. Wasn't for me. I haven't reread Butler yet, though. I've got some Butler books downstairs. And that's the fun but also hard thing about this field, is that because it's an interdisciplinary field, it's not like I'm going to write my literature PhD, so I'll read up on the critical literature analysis. In order to like really do this well, I need to read about all sorts of theory. I need to read philosophy. I need to read gender theory. I need to read queer theory. I need to read disability theory, and all of these different options, like social theory, psychological theory, in order to bring them all together into my work, which is the thing I love, because I was always like annoyed that I couldn't study 5 things at once. So basically that's what I get to do now. I got upset that I couldn't take more GCSEs and more A levels. I was that person. I'm still that person. Nothing has changed. I also realise I've just typed, do you think the humanities could teach people about paragraphs? Because one of my pet hates in academic writing is the paragraph that's as long as a page. So that's a very catty note. I was obviously on a roll with notes, because we've gone from do you think the humanities could teach people about paragraphs to the binary of able and disabled is so clearly bullshit. Is that me saying how far I'd got through something? I think so. I think maybe I didn't finish that reading and I intended to. I got a uni email and I was excited that it might be something about my PhD, but no, it's just the careers service. The careers service email me like every week because I'm in my final year of my master's because I haven't technically graduated yet. Was that another email? Oh no, it just hasn't marked it as read. Okay. So these are my seminar notes. Let's have a look. Do I want to... I don't know if I need to write my seminar notes down. Because one of them is telling me to read the polyphony, which I now read basically every article from. One of my... I set some goals for myself for this year, like academically. And let me come up and I can tell you what they are. So they're not necessarily for this year specifically, but like I'm trying to collate a list of my goals. One of my goals is to have an article published in the Polyphony. Another is to present at a conference. I'm not necessarily going to achieve them in the first year of my PhD, but I'd like to do them at some point. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to write those seminar notes down. I don't think I need to. Let's have a look at how... Oh, my handwriting's much better in these notes. This is going to be easier. I do, however, need to type the next section of notes up off stream because I've just read what they're about. I think that would probably be safer. There's quite a lot of them as well. I really got into this week. This week was a lot of gender and queer theory, but it's basically about the history of sex and disease. So I don't think it's appropriate for me to type up a load of notes about some quite explicit things. So I will save that one. What time are we at? We are an hour 20 already. How did that happen? I don't understand where the time went. Maybe then what I will do, although I need things to do tomorrow morning then. I could switch round and do some reading on stream, but the problem is doing reading on stream is super boring unless it's stuff that I can have on the screen, which a lot of it isn't, because if I'm reading a physical book, I can't do that. And if I'm reading something digital, it has to be completely publicly available, otherwise I can't put it up on my stream. That's one of the hard things about streaming my PhD, and it's going to be interesting to work out how to make that work really, in terms of, you know, what content I can make with this. Some of my I'm just flicking through now, some of the weeks have significantly fewer notes. But yeah, I think we'll leave the notes for now. What else is there that I can do on here? What do I need to do? Let's just hop onto a giant face. Maybe I'll plan what I'm doing for the rest of the week and set goals for it. Because so what I've done, so I'm, this is my bullet journal. I like that I showed you it when it's just a black notebook. So I've done some notes on stream. But so what I did when I organized this was I didn't so much go, I'll read this article on this day, and I think I need to be setting clearer goals like that. It's hard because I don't want to set too much, and then just perpetually not be able to do it and be upset with myself. But equally, if I can get stuck, not able to decide what to do. So what I might do is, I think tomorrow I will give myself a day off reading, so that, just cross that one out. And then what I will do is I will type week 2 notes in the afternoon. And then I can do that off stream. On stream, we can continue and do like weeks 3, 4, 5 onwards, because I think they're okay. Oh, actually, let me just check that. It's like, I think they're fine. And then I remembered that week 3 was about First World War trauma. So maybe, or medicine and war in general. No, I think that's okay. So I think I can do that one. Then week 4 was modernism. Oh, it was medical methodology. It's boring. Really useful, but very boring. And then was the week after that narrative medicine. So I've got a lot more weeks for week 5. I've got a lot more notes for week 5, so that will work well. So if I put, and I think we can probably do 3, 4, and some of 5 tomorrow. So I'll put 3 to 5 on Wednesday. I decided that I wasn't doing any reading today. What I will instead do is I will finish or work on more of my pain education course. Which, if I didn't explain, I don't think I explained that today. I think I've explained it on other days. So I've been referred to a pain management team at the local hospital. And one of the first things they have you do is a course on self-managing pain and understanding pain. It's been really hard. I've just done the intro this far, and I have the problem that obviously I'm the target audience because I'm a service user. I am the person for whom this course is made. However, I'm also an academic who has studied and written papers on chronic pain, or paper singular. And they opened up by saying, like, outlining what they were going to do in the course, and they were like, and then we're going to take you through some of the theories behind how pain works and how like dealing with pain and coping with pain works and why it works for some people and not others. And to do this, we're going to take you through gate control theory. And so I studied gate control theory for the paper I wrote, and I looked up the paper I wrote because I was like, I know that theory. Wasn't it shit? And it's not complete shit, but the problem is it's based on the Cartesian mind-body split, which has been completely undermined by modern physiological understandings of mental illness and of the relationship between the body and mind, and that they're very closely connected, and you know that our limbic brains have a strong link to and effect on what else is going on in our body. And I specifically have an illness that interferes with that process. It's not that my mind is, anyway. So we'll see. It's possible I'm misremembering some stuff about gate control theory. I may have misunderstood it in the first place. But so that made me very angry, but then I got through more of the course and it was really good and in a really holistic point of view and seemed to be a really good basis. So it's very, very hard to view it as a service user, not as an academic. I find it really hard in therapy as well, not to go full research nerd on my therapist. I've done that at points and we've nerded out together and then we've realised we should not be doing that. We should be, you know, talking about me. Well, it's a part of me, so obviously I'm going to talk about it, but you know. But yeah, so that's what I'll do today. Tomorrow will be all notes day, and I'll give myself a day off reading. So then Thursday, let's see, how many notes were there for week 5? There is week 5. Here we go. It's a reasonable amount. Oh, there's quite a lot actually. And then this is week 8. So what I might do, and there's not as much for 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I also, if there was some numbers missing in there, it's because there are weeks off. So I think I will do 5 and 8 because I'll have the spillover of 5 and then 8. And if I finish all of that and I still have time and spoons left, I can go on to week 9. Otherwise, I'll do that. What am I going to read in that afternoon? And obviously, so where I'm setting these targets, they might change. I kind of am trying to view this journal as an ideal case scenario. In the ideal case scenario, I will get these things done. This is what I'm aiming to do. I want to try to do all of these things, unless I look at it and go, no, I definitely can't do this. And it's fine if I have to do that. That's one of the great things about a bullet journal, is that you can just shoot things on to another day if you don't get them done. I have a list of tasks for the week in general as well, so when I'm at a point where I'm like, I've got the ability to do something but I don't know what, I can then pick from down there. And mostly at the moment I've got like piles of stuff that I'm working through, so it's not too hard to find the next thing. I think the reason to build in setting specific goals now is when I get into my PhD fully, 1, I'm going to want to keep track of the rabbit holes that I want to go down, and 2, I'm going to have to like motivate myself to go down those rabbit holes and to look those things up. So I think it's a good thing to train myself into now, so that in a few weeks, a few months, it's something that I can then carry through. So on my Thursday reading, I will read. So what I did yesterday was I read one proper academic article and then like 4 or 5 journalistic articles. So I've got all sorts of things in here. I've got like full books. I've got the like PDFs. I've got a lot of articles from the Journal of Medical Humanities. So I think I'll put one of the articles from the Journal of Medical Humanities on here, and then a couple of other ones that should theoretically be softer. So if I do that one, oh, my pen ran out of, fortunately, I have a lot of these pens. These are Uniball gelatin packs, and they're 1 mil, so they're quite thick. They're just so smooth and nice to write with. I really enjoy writing with them. So I will read that one, and then I will read that's like a whole mailing list that I want to flick through, so maybe I'll do that. And then I'll add that one. And then on Friday, so Friday I will do, get my notebook again. This is week 9. Not got a huge amount of notes for that. I've got a reasonable amount for 11 because that was the mental health week. Also not a massive amount. A lot for week 12. Oh, week 7 got postponed, didn't it? Yeah. My week 7 notes are there. So let's say 9 and 11. And if I get more done than that, then it's fine. It's more having, I think by setting like slightly smaller targets, if that's all I can do, I still walk away having achieved them. And that's the really nice thing. So and then on Friday I will read. Maybe on Friday I get one of the really big ones out of the way. I think that's a good idea. Because otherwise if I continue to take all the smaller ones, I'm gonna get to Friday and I'm gonna be like, we'll get to next week and it will just be like this huge thing, this huge thing, this huge thing. One of them is an entire podcast. Obviously I'm not a lot of these are go look through this thing and work out what I want to look at. So I think I also can't tell what 2 of them are because it's just bookmarked them as ZTOC full record display. So let's look at what those are. Oh, that's some heavy articles. Associations between clinicians' emotional responses, therapeutic alliance, and patient suicidal ideation. So those will both be full articles. So what I think I will do is I'll read that one because that's actually something a bit different as well. It is a paper by Casey Fiesler and a couple of other people. It's a case study of feminist HCI and design values. Obviously completely different to a lot of the other things I'm reading, but I'm interested in fan studies just generally. I also think there will be some crossover between fan studies and my thesis because I think I'm coming to potentially consider fan fiction to be a non-normative narrative form. I haven't talked to my supervisor about that one yet, but I think that's something I would like to do, is to think about fan fiction in that way. Whether I have the space to do that within my thesis, I don't know. We will see. But yeah, so that's one of the things I'm thinking about. So that then plans the rest of this week. I want to start vaguely thinking about what my plan for next week is. I think at this rate, I'm not quite going to finish getting all the notes typed up in time. Unless I really push and next week start doing that in the afternoons as well. I obviously want to be a bit careful with that. But I've also got an hour before stream each day where I could do some more. I could do some in there. And we'll see how it goes. I think it's nice to think further ahead, but I also kind of have to take things as they go, because 2 days from now I could be in a flare and then that completely changes everything. So we'll see. Flexible schedules. That's what my mentor has taught me to do. You make schedules, they're optimistic. Sometimes you don't get to stick to them. I think we will leave things there for today. Let's see if there's anyone we want to raid. I think I'm not going to do a raid today. I think there's something about it that I find really intense. I've done one this week. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. We have streamed longer today than we did yesterday, and I came in saying it might be shorter, so I'm very pleased with that, and I think we'll accept that, and having typed a bunch of notes up as our success. So thank you all very much for coming and for being here. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. GMT. In the panels down below, you can find my Twitter. If I ever change a stream time, then you'll find out there. Make sure you hit the notification button and follow if you want to come along to another stream. We hit 100 followers over Christmas. I'm just gonna keep saying that because it's amazing. But thank you so much for coming, and I will see you tomorrow for the next step in PhD prep. Awkward pause whilst I move my mouse over to the right screen. This is the real reason that people get Stream Decks. It's not so that they can easily change between things. It's so that they don't have the awkward pause when they're doing this.